And that's a wrap. Uh, Thanks for watching. This is The Ones Who Live, season 1, episode 6, or just episode 6, probably, if we're going to be really honest. Spoilers ahead. I'm John Stark, and I'm a blind film critic, so click that subscribe button because I don't think you have a blind film critic in your subscription lineup. So I'm going to shame you into doing it because this is the last Ones Who Live, and if you're a Walking Dead fan, don't you want a blind Walking Dead fan? I'm going to recap Dead City and Daryl Dixon from my perspective. This doesn't have audio description. It's incredibly hard to follow. And I'm going to keep talking about it until they hopefully one day add audio description to this franchise. It's such a huge franchise and doesn't have audio description. It's driving me insane. Final episode, obviously Rick and Michonne set forth on the plan that they said they were going to do in episode 5, which is to bring down CRM. Just 2 people. That's how easy it is to bring down CRM. By the way, if they didn't even need to recruit anybody else, I was thinking about. I was like, what about that guy from the first episode? Remember the guy that works in the water? I was like, what happened to him? I mean, we introduced other characters throughout the course of the series, and no, they didn't. No, nobody needs to be recruited. We don't need to revisit any other characters. We're just gonna take this shit out, just Rick style. And Rick does get invited to the briefing, and he has this conversation with Terry O'Quinn, who's I don't know, he's got a character name, I'm sure, um, with the guy from Lost, um, and yeah, he learns all about the guy's past and how he had to make this terrible choice where he had to sacrifice Pittsburgh to save Philadelphia, and then he's been sort of sacrificing other cities because he statistically they believe that humans have 14 years left before the zombies run out, or also there's also like disease, famine, not having enough of anything, which is totally valid and something I thought about. I'm like, how many bullets, how much gas, who is pumping this, who is making this, where, you know it's something that when Negan actually had uh Eugene making ammunition for him, I was like, this is a valid topic to discuss that we don't talk about enough. And this series, The Ones Who Live, has dodged so many other topics and questions and it not answered things and just the sidestepped. And uh it talks about how in other communities that they send out spies, um who are meant to bring these communities down. And okay, we could have seen more of that could be a reason to have had more episodes of The Ones Who Live. But I know, we don't want to inconvenience Andrew Lincoln. God forbid the thing that made him famous inconveniences him any more than 6 episodes. So, you know, that sounds interesting to me, as a spy, especially if we had seen like a spy that just showed up. Like if it turned out that so and so from back in the show was actually a CRM spy, that it wasn't just Jadis, it was this character, and we were like, what? And the person's like, yep, traitor. Like, um, but it did make me think about the entire, you know, the main cast of The Walking Dead encountered this entire city full of people that had like a president. So who was the spy there? And why hadn't that series been bombed? Because they talk about how they have a partnership and like, oh, we have a partnership with the other cities and this will like limit the partnership down and we've taken out all the other. Have you? Or are you just terrible at finding cities? Because that seemed like a pretty well made city. They had a train, they had outposts. Like, who are your people that are looking for these things? Because they're terror. Fire them. Fire them now. Because we know that it's impossible for Rick and Michonne to return within the context of the series because they weren't there for any of that. So they can't return until after they've already defeated all of that crap that happened at the end of the series. So that means that Terry O'Quinn and his CRM didn't find that massive fucking town with walls, soldiers, outposts, a train, like everything that they introduced to us. They didn't find any of that. They didn't find Hilltop. They didn't find Negan and the Saviors. Like they had Jadis in a junkyard. That was the best they could do. These people are awful at their jobs. The fact that they could take out Portland is just baffling to me. Like I couldn't follow at a certain point this last episode because I guess they could only do 6 episodes and they were like, I don't think we can wrap this series in 1 episode. And they were like, well, fuck it. I don't know. The fans at this point, we don't have any. Let's just be honest. We're just too down. Somebody's been pointing out the viewership data for The Walking Dead and how like used to average like what back in the day like 18 million or something like that per episode, and then it finished with like 3. It's just the spin-offs are getting less. If you only had 3 million watching the last season of Walking Dead, I don't think these are going above 3. So these series are getting like maybe 1-2 million views. So they're just like, I don't know, people care. I mean, I do care, but I also can't follow the series anyway because it doesn't have audio description. There's one really cool scene that Terry O'Quinn asks him, "What's the worst thing you've ever done?" And you can tell that Rick is going through a flashback montage of everyone he's ever killed. It goes for it lasts at least 30 seconds, and it's just sounds of like she like it's just like people being stabbed and gutted and like just all of these different things, and then Rick just calmly goes, I met someone once like they do. It's just I mean, I would have loved to be able to know, but I know that even the audio description on that would have been really hard because it would have just told me it was a montage of that. It wouldn't have been able to tell me all the deaths from all of the past seasons. I used to be able to see. I saw up until actually this dude left the series. Basically, actually, it was around Carl's death was the last. I think the last episode. The episode before that, I think, was the last one I could see. Anyway, so. Yeah, I've been watching this show as a blind person, trying to listen to these sound effects the whole time. It's a pain in the ass. So Rick and Michonne quite easily take down the CRM and win. And then, it's super easy. They just, Terry O'Quinn even like offers him, he's like, yeah, you can bring all your people. I trust you. I want to make you, he offers him basically the head of the CRM. And Rick's like, nah, just kills him. And then by the end of the series, we get exactly the one thing I wanted, which is Rick back with Judith. But it feels unearned and it feels so quick. It feels like we're just here. And like, he doesn't meet up with any of the other cast members. It's just Judith and RJ. Like, no one else comes up to Rick and has any sort of conversation with him. I don't know if there's anybody in the background, but I doubt they brought back anybody legitimate because nobody had any dialogue. The only 2 people who spoke were Judith, who has like 1 line of dialogue, and RJ, who, oh my God. When we auditioned RJ, did we make sure he could read dialogue? That was the worst line reading. I hate making fun of kid actors, but did we try having him do it again? Like, I knew you would come back. Like, there's nothing to it. It's just like, it's like having some, like, you're in a beginning acting class and you've passed around some side for somebody to read. And, like, they're reading it it's like a cold read for the very first time for somebody who's never read a line before and has never acted. That is what that felt like for a kid who has apparently been on set multiple seasons should be able to read that line of dialogue. Uh, I'm mind blown because it's sort of like it's the big emotional crux is RJ meeting Rick for the first time, his dad. He's Rick Jr. We revealed that this series, what RJ actually stands for. And he also hasn't seen his mom in forever. And you would think that there'd be more emoting, something in that voice, but man, that line delivery was not good. Um, I don't know. I felt let down by the series, but at the same time, it did give me what I wanted. Rick Michonne back with the fam. So that was the one thing I wanted from The Ones Who Live. Damn, they just got there really quickly. They spent so much time on Jadis and so much time on like the reunion that when they needed to finally topple the CRM, they did it in like 5 seconds, and then they were like, "We're home." That was easy. Like just we completely rewrote an entire society. It took us I don't know, a couple hours. We're back. Just I don't know. Um, there's been a debate about season two. I was even talking with a friend, and I had already seen the episode because I have AMC Plus. So I have already seen the episode before it aired on AMC, and he was talking to me. He's like, "Oh, you think they're gonna make a second season?" And I couldn't tell the spoilers. I was like, I don't even know what that would look like, to be totally honest. And they've done such a poor job of representing where they are in the timeline in relation to the other series and in relation to The Walking Dead, because they never acknowledge that they know about this city. And I guess I mean the only way he could return is after all of the events of the original series. But then you have Dead City. Herschel is older. He's obviously older. He's than he was when once we last saw him. Daryl has obviously taken some time to get to France, so we would need a time jump. But I don't know. I don't know what the point of a second season of The Ones Who Live would be. So is the CRM coming for Rick? I have no idea. Um, but I not a huge fan of the finale of the series, but it doesn't have audio description, so I've been grading it all as unwatchable anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, closing the door on this series. Next up should be Dead City season 2. So I guess I'll see you guys for Dead City. So click that subscribe button, and I will see you guys on the other side.